Welcome back, and you're now joining me on Wednesday evening, which is my first run of the week in fact. So after a tough Ashby 20, I've listened to my body and I've took a couple of days and forced rest really just to start the week. So I know I really wanted to kick on into training, but in the past I've rushed back too quick from when I've been feeling fatigued, and it's impacted me in my training going forward. So what I'm doing this time is just allowing my body to have a chance to recover before I get back into sessions and a bit of harder training. So the rest of this week, for the next couple of runs at least, will be solely easy runs until I feel that the effects of Ashby have worn off and I've got through them, and then I'll be getting back to maybe a session and a bit of a longer run on the weekend. So whilst I had 2 complete days off of running at the start of this week, that wasn't entirely true in terms of activity, as I did play a bit of social basketball on a Monday night, so the day after Ashby, and I'm probably still a little bit sore from that as opposed to the Ashby. So I think it's a bit of a combination of the two, and that's the first time that I played sort of basketball or football of the sport of any type like that for quite a few years. So I know that the first 2 or 3 back really, my body needs to get used to it. I'm always going to be a bit sore, especially in my 30s now. I can't do what my brain was telling me that I could do a few years ago. So although I feel that I was playing within myself a bit, it probably still did put quite a bit of strain on my body. I think it is a welcome addition to put something like that within my week, so to have a bit of a social and a bit of a sport activity that's not solely running. It's quite good for me. It can be a bit like Groundhog Day every day, working from home most days and just getting out for a run, mainly by myself. So it is quite good to have a social and do something a bit different. And I'll still be keeping a running on Monday. It is typically my lighter day anyway. I'd like to talk a little bit about where my focus will be over the summer, and in terms of races, in terms of my training focus. And if we start with the races, so I do see myself doing some shorter distance races over summer. There's a couple of reasons for this. So firstly, I think that doing shorter distance races is obviously going to work on my top end speed, and it's going to help me at my sort of long-term goal of reducing my marathon time in December at Valencia. So I think by having that approach to go for a few shorter distance races will be good for me. I'll be able to get fit by racing pretty regularly, so I'd like to try and get in races every couple of weeks really, and race a lot more frequently. And with doing shorter distances, that will allow me to do that, race 5Ks, 10Ks, 5 milers, 10 milers, pushing it to the higher end, and possibly a few half marathons again at that higher end. So the first race that I've entered is the Derby 10K in about 10 days time now, so we're looking forward to seeing how I get on a flat, fastish course. I'll be looking to go quicker than the time I did at Bolstover, which was a high 39. Possibly even breaking to the 38 minutes would be a good result for this one. I see my training structure looking very similar to how it was at the moment, just with a few small changes. So the structure, very similar. I'll still aim for 2 good sessions in the week. So my main session really is the shorter interval based session. So this will be sort of 400 meter reps, 800 meter reps, anything up to sort of 3 minutes, 4 minute reps, which will really test my top end speed and hopefully get me quicker over the 5k and 10k. I'll be running at a faster pace on these reps than what would be my 5k race pace. I'd also like to do a continuous paced tempo session, either during the week or at the weekend within my long run. So these will be blocks at slower than my 5k, 10k pace, probably more like half marathon kind of pace, just to build up my speed endurance and make sure that I've got the fitness to hold a decent pace for the duration of, say, my 5k or the 10k in the race. And the rest of the week is just getting as much easy running in as I can. So the 5k and the 10k are still aerobic races, really. You use your aerobic system a lot more than the other two energy systems. Within a 5k and 10ks, they are still considered long distance races, so there's much benefit to doing that easy running to build up my aerobic system even further, and it'll also have a benefit long term as I come back to marathon training later in the year. The end of the first mile now, just coming up to the hill that always breaks me off on my 20-minute effort, so just going to jog up there today in just under 7 minutes for the first mile. Thank you, marshals. Thank you. You're on. Thank you. I'm on my way back from Conkers parkrun now, and what a beautiful morning it is to run this morning. So great conditions with the sun, and it's still been a bit cold as well. A cold start of about 4 or 5 degrees, which meant that for me, I didn't overheat too much, didn't sweat too much. So yeah, recap of the parkrun. I decided to take it a little bit easier today, and didn't want to put pressure on myself to go for a sub 20. I've been feeling a little bit run down and off it this week, probably after Ashby 20. And I think after Ashby 20, it's just taken me a little bit longer to recover than I originally hoped. So I'm just going to be patient with that, because there's no point forcing my way back into sessions and struggling in them. So with that being said, my first run of the week was about 6.5, 7 miles on Wednesday around the lake. I ran on Thursday night as well, did about 10 miles on Thursday, all at an easy pace, and then did 8 miles on Friday evening, so just very much easy running this week. So today's run will be about 9.5 miles in total of just easy running, so nice to get a little bit more easy mileage in under the belt. And going into tomorrow, I'd like to get a bit of a longer run in, so with my longest run being 10 miles this week, I'd like to try and get a 13, maybe 15 mile plus run in, possibly at Albert Village Lake, and try and do a little bit of sort of tempo efforts within there. So rather than just a flat long run, it would be good if I could ease back into sessions by doing it at a slightly more comfortable pace of a tempo effort rather than going straight into intervals. So to sum up this week, it was one that could have led to a bit of frustration, and it did at times, having to remain doing some easy running throughout most of the week. So until Sunday today, I didn't do a session this week. So my first session was within my longer run, which was just under 14 miles today, with which I did between 10 and 12 miles of this at a sort of low end tempo pace. So it was just outside of my marathon pace, what I did at Ashby 20. So I was running about 7-minute miles for this 10 to 12 mile block today. which was a positive sign to get a session in this week. But still, I like to do 2/3 sessions in a week if I can do. So it was frustrating that I couldn't get to hit that 60 miles and the sessions in that I wanted. But I did think that listening to my body was the right thing to do, as always, and it's put me on a good start to next week. So that I'll go into next week feeling pretty fresh and recovered, and be able to hit a good week going into a race week for Derby 10K. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.